We're on.
Welcome everybody to DM Writer's Room. You know the deal. Ethan's gonna take it away and give us a description on what's going on and what we're looking forward to, and I'll do the outro.
All right, everybody, welcome to DM Writer's Room. As you may or may not be aware, this is a show where we try to unpack some of the difficulty and the tasks that surround DMing and GMing and the prep that is involved. We largely deal with the Roll20 system. We haven't done any sort of major projects with others, but I'm sure we will at some point. Lately, we've been focusing on trying to come up with a campaign that goes from level 3 to level 11, and just sort of trying to move through how we would prep this as a campaign. Now, this is a little bit of a non-traditional structure, but one that people are often in, where you are basically creating a plot and then, not creating a plot, but instead creating the action and situation that your players will disrupt and destroy. Our adventure is called Sunburst's Folly, and it follows Althander Rylus, a evil sorcerer's journey as he attempts to tear open the veil between the normal world and the plane of chaos. Your party will slowly discover his evil machinations, take down his lieutenants one by one, and then eventually finish the campaign by killing Althander Rylus the Sunburst and freeing the local area from his reign of terror. We have already dealt with one of those three lieutenants, a gentleman named Romagon Brentis, a fighter who wants to regain the youth that once made him the most dangerous and powerful duelist in the area. Today we are moving on to Mulgar, a barbarian who has been terrorizing the area but is centered to sort of his major third. Now, we assigned the name Bloodmane Grove before we knew what the sort of larger outlook was, and so it has sort of twisted and adapted, and as a DM, that kind of stuff happens all the time. You say the name of an area without really thinking of if the party will go there or not. You just sort of gesture to it, you make it a reveal, smash cut to a few weeks later, and you're like, yeah, no, you can go there. Yes. Yeah, make a random encounter check. Grabs a notebook and starts running. So where we ended up going with that was Mulgar is destroying places of power surrounding the area that the Sunburst is trying to tear open this hole between worlds. And he is doing that to weaken the veil between worlds. Mulgar does not believe that the Sunburst's plan will work. He thinks that he is going to accidentally end the world. But Mulgar is a member of a death cult, and so does not care. That is, in fact, what he hopes happens. When we find this plan in motion, we find this sort of army of cultists that work below Mulgar in a siege with Bloodmane Grove, a site of power for some local druids that they have been in constant conflict with for probably a few days. I don't think we said we wanted to go as far as a couple of weeks. At that point, things would be really dire within the camp, and we wanted to sort of meet them a little earlier than that. The adventure that we have lined up for that area is that Bloodmane Grove famously was once protected by a great guardian that the party will go out, find, free or awaken or what have you. That guardian will end the siege, and that will draw out Mulgar from wherever he is, leading these cultists, coordinating and occasionally participating in raids where they destroy places of power, temples, great fanes. Your hope is to draw him to Bloodmane Grove, where you can then kill him. Very high risk, very high reward, and it doesn't assume what the party will do. It just sets up what the people in Bloodmane Grove are trying to do. And that is our most important DMing tip of this whole show. It is useless to try to plan the party's actions. All you can do is say, this is what the bad guy is trying to do, this is what the good guys are trying to do, and then the party will interact with that somehow. So today we're going to take a look at Bloodmane Grove, bring out the plot hooks that we have prepared ahead of time, and just try to really get a good sense for what the shape of that area looks like. For those of you at home or in the future that are watching this is basically what prep looks like when the last arc is wrapping up. Your parties have killed the bad guy. Maybe you still have to do like your fun festival and shopping episode. So you've got about 2 weeks to get a good grasp on what comes next. And all you really have is the name of a bad guy and a direction. We're going to come in with the name of our bad guy and what our bad guy's plan is, and try to sort of flush out the area enough that a party could roll up and we would have some stuff ready for them to get us forward into the rest of this arc. So with that, it's time to start talking about the different things that we have in mind for Bloodmane Grove here. Do we want to just go round robin and list out all of our plot hooks, or did we want to maybe delve a little deeper into our main mission in Bloodmane before we switch over?
I think let's open with hooks.
All right.
Sure thing.
Want to go 111, 111?
Yeah, sounds good to
I
me.
only have one.
Okay.
All right,
All
I'll
right.
start. Mine is somebody in Bloodmane Grove cannot go on their pilgrimage. They are afraid that by going they will be followed, and the site that they take their pilgrimage to will be destroyed. So they need you to bring... I have tentatively ashes of a fallen person to a location that they cannot safely go to. Pretty classic fantasy.
Solid. Michael?
Nice. I have Crystal of Chaos is somewhere nearby, causing everyone to always want to be fighting near that location.
Bang.
Taking a book out of my page out of my Theros book.
A little bit.
Mine is the Bloodmane Lion Hunt. A huntsman reports that he and his party were assaulted by a creature and he was the only survivor. A mythical beast, the Bloodmane Lion, a stat block we would have to create.
That goes perfectly with my other idea.
Oh, yeah?
Well, then go ahead and say it before I say my second one. If it's going to match up that
So, rumors of a creature have been going around, and it was the big reveal of it is it's either a blood elemental or a blood beast. And the blood beast could
Bloodmane
be
Lion.
the Bloodmane Lion.
Pretty good, pretty good.
Nice.
Blood beasts are CR6.
Okay. Connected, sort of tangentially, my last one is an aging berserker has finally lost his grip on reality. He is raging in the woods and must be dealt with. A threat of basically, I think it's sort of a fun nod to the sort of implied fate of some barbarians in 5e is, this is somebody who has lost grip on reality and one way or another has to be dealt with.
The eternal rage.
All right, so we've got a lot of
That's
plot
pretty
hooks
great.
on the field, yeah. And it sounds like 3 of them have linked into a quest, right? It sounds like we sort of have this logical constellation here where there is a creature called the Bloodmane Lion, and it has been terrorizing the countryside. And we also know that our main quest centers around this guardian of Bloodmane Grove. So I am wondering if something has happened to bring the Bloodmane Lion out in a state where it cannot differentiate friend from foe.
And that's where the big crystal that makes everybody enraged comes in.
Okay, so that means we are going to have to come up with some plot hooks at the end, because it sounds like we've accidentally sort of returned.
Just the main quest.
Yeah,
Yes.
a similar thing happened when we were working through Romagon Brentis's area, where we sort of ended up
Yeah.
grabbing onto a string and getting pulled in this direction of
Yeah.
Romagon is at Lancer's Point. That means there's a lance. The lance belongs to an order of knights. We have to go to the castle of that order of knights. We need to swear an oath. Then we can take the lance before Romagon can get to it. And it seems that similarly, we were like, there will be a guardian. And now we're like, there is a guardian. It's the Bloodmane Lion. It recently attacked a group of hunters. That's how we know that something has gone wrong. The thing that has gone wrong is there is this crystal or gem, this item that is making people go feral in an area, which also connects to my barbarian that has lost his connection to the world. And we know that we have a nefarious cult leader in Mulgar, who is trying to destroy sites of power. So it sounds to me like Mulgar got a hold of a crystal that he knew would start to cause disruptions in the area. They couldn't end the siege, and so the crystal was planted here. Or maybe a lieutenant of Mulgar's planted the crystal nearby in the hopes that it would lead to conflict, and it has begun to affect the locals, including the guardian of the grove, the Bloodmane lion. There's not a lot
I guess we're
more
done,
to
boys.
prep than that. Yeah.
Hang up the call.
So it sounds like as far as our main adventure is concerned, we now have, again, I will caution GMs at home, it is totally worth prepping what the players will fight. And I always recommend at the end of a session, I don't do this enough, not being afraid to be like, and sometimes it can bite you in the ass. At the end of a session, don't be afraid to be like, hey, what are you guys doing next? Sometimes your party assures you that they are going to a mountain cave to fight an ice hag, and then they totally disregard that and go do some other stuff and sort of throw your campaign off the hitch a little bit. But, you know, life happens.
Not personal.
Not personal. Has nothing to do with me. So we need to break down instead what the plan is. If you know what the bad guys want to have happen, then you can just let the players interfere without being like, you know, if the players go to Area G, they may be spotted by Ranger Fitzgerald. You can just sort of back off of that a little bit and instead just get a better idea of what the area looks like. So, the villainous plan, it sounds like was, the siege is fruitless. You can't besiege druids because druids can just create food. They have plant growth. They can just make what they need. They have create food and water at early levels. The siege proves to be fruitless, and there is fear of this guardian. With those two things combined, you know, attacking this area gets more and more difficult. So, a henchman devises a plan. Who is the henchman?
Althor.
Althor is a little too close to Althander. Can we just add a letter somewhere?
Yeah. Balsor.
Not Balsor, no.
No, could do that one.
Althor, can we just do like Ulthar? Can we just swing in that?
Ulthar, yeah. Except we're dealing with Mogar.
Mogar and Ulthar? Oh, damn it!
All right.
We've done too many
We're
names.
Mulgar and Ulthar. Oh, wait. I have Denric, I have Halshin Thorndell, and I have Bolden Strex.
House Thorndale.
Halshin Thorndell. Okay. We have this minion, this underling, Halshin Thorndell. Halshin Thorndell plants this thing that makes people slowly but surely grow violent. What is it, and where did he get it? Wait! Roll for gender.
My initial brush after gender gets rolled. I'll do it now. My initial brush is Halshin received a fragment of the congealed chaos magic that Althander Rylus is summoning forth from the capital.
Halshana Thorndell.
Halshana Thorndell. Halshana received this from maybe the king, at least from the capital, to start hinting more that there's some shit going on over there.
Yeah, so is this an item from the Plane of Chaos, or is this something that Althander Rylus made?
I think
it's a normal item corrupted by chaos.
That's interesting. What would be a good like beacon item that exists?
To make people get angry or fight.
Well, and
a
no, it
lot?
would be the
Hmm.
opposite if it's corrupted. So this is a big. So this is a
Oh,
big beacon that sits in the prison of the capital and keeps inmates from being violent. Like that's
Exactly.
it's some shit
It's
like that.
famous. If like a DC 10 or 15 history check will tell you what it's meant to be, where it's from, so that way the party knows like, oh shit, this is from the capital.
mhm.
Sure.
Easy.
I need a fun, peaceful name. My brain's going Morning Light Beacon. The
Yeah.
beacon, something beacon. I don't want it to be the beacon of blank. I want it to be the something
The
beacon.
beacon of safe harbor.
Tranquility.
I would rather do something like the Safe Harbor Beacon. We keep doing the blank of blank, and I think
I was
Yeah.
gonna say, I like the tranquil beacon. Is kind of sick.
okay, the Tranquil Beacon Corrupted. I like that because it suggests the thought that you could uncorrupt it rather than steal or destroy it.
It's gonna be like an AOE, calm emotions
Yeah, this like
once per day. Easy.
Okay. So, at the behest of Mulgar to end the seas, Halshana Thorndell took a corrupted version of the Tranquil Beacon, a pretty famous magic item that, used to sit in the belly of the prison of, what's it called? High Shield, and has placed it. Is it conspicuous or inconspicuous? Is it up on a thing? Or is
I
it
think that
hidden?
I think conspicuous. The druids can't do anything about it because they've been under siege. They don't have a fear that the party's going to show up and break it down. They don't really know about the party.
So is it like on a thing in front of the gate, or is it off in the woods at a temple or site of power? Like, is it
It's off in the wood at a temple,
okay?
but like an obvious place. This isn't a lore-based adventure like the last one.
Well, yeah, because
Mhm.
it has to be placed at the temple of the Bloodmane Lion or whatever.
Yeah.
That works.
Okay. So the siege is fruitless, and there is fear of the Guardian, the Bloodmane Lion, and so Halshana Thorndell places the Tranquil Beacon, which has been corrupted, at the Temple of the Bloodmane Lion, or the, whatever we want to call it, the font of the Bloodmane Lion, whatever, sort of druidy name we want to attach to it. I almost said Druish, and that's not it. And the party, I don't feel the need to write too much more down on this page. The Bloodmane Lion is there, and the party will have to fight it, probably, to get to this item, but they don't want to kill it.
Maybe they can't kill it. This is sort of an immortal font of power. They kill it, get up to the thing, deactivate it, and then
Sure. Do we want that
It
to be like
reemerges in
the
its regular
lion
form.
will reemerge 1d4 minutes later, or do we want that to be the lion cannot be meaningfully killed?
The lion cannot be meaningfully killed.
All right, I'll write
It bursts into a
functionally
puddle of
immortal.
bursts into a puddle of blood, reforms question mark later. It just reforms quickly.
So functionally immortal, and I'll write minutes, not hours. I'll write minutes, not days.
Probably why sieges are impossible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You kill it,
Fucking
and it's back
T1000
minutes
lion.
later, not days later. Okay, so the siege is fruitless, blah, 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 blah. We have this lion. That's solid. So that's our core story beat there. And it also gives us this reason why Mulgar shows up. You recollect this artifact, and Althander is probably like, you mean that thing I gave you? The thing that I did magic on, and they might be able to know who did magic on it? Go get that. Go get that
Yeah.
and kill anyone who saw it. Now. Pretty direct.
He says, "Roger that."
Okay. So that's our sort of central plot line there. which I like. And our secondary plot line, we know. It's just that Mulgar shows up, and then the party needs to, one way or another, sort of take the fight to Mulgar. I think that Mulgar will probably... Mulgar needs a plan on how he's going to take out the Grove. My brain is telling me that, like, he'll probably head for that same temple. And it'll be like, well, what they did the first time was on the exterior of the temple, right? They go, they get the thing, they free the lion from this terrible curse. They're aware of the fact that there is a larger structure, they just don't interact with it. Mulgar shows up a little while later and heads there with the goal of descending below to the source of power of it and destroying it, unmaking the lion in the process.
Yeah. Side note, we need to include this. The lion has an effective radius before it disincorporates and falls into a puddle of blood. It can't go more than a mile away from Bloodmane Grove or fucking 500 yards or whatever. Because otherwise the party would be like, great, new lion best friend that can't die. We're bringing that with us. Nope.
I'll put parentheses, 1 mile range.
Perfect.
You know, some parties you gotta be like, all right, final fight here.
Yeah, right over here. That's why it needs to be locked at a temple.
Yeah.
I think that as much as it makes sense having it happen at the same temple, parties would be a little bit annoyed to go to the temple, back to the town, back to the temple again. They might get a little bit tired of that. If we could have it at a secondary location or a tertiary location, it might be useful.
Okay, 2 questions. 1, where? 2, why is it somewhere else?
I was just gonna say the only other reason it might be the same as if we change the location, like it's the same spot, but like scenery, everything's different.
The
Something
chaos fucked
happened
it up.
to it.
I would say it is at the nearby lake that feeds into the entirety of the village. That's where the Well of Power actually is. The temple is just over one of those lines that the lake like drains out through. So he's gonna fuck up the font of power. That way they just don't go the same direction twice.
Heads to
Like,
the
fight can be
font
fun.
of blood. Okay. That's pretty much buttoned up. The music has stopped. Somebody, other than me, try to fix that.
I'll see if I can.
I hope so. If not, I can just hop over, go starting soon and clear. It's kind of eerie. You get used to
We're
the
in,
music,
baby.
is the problem. Come on. Let's go. All right. So Mulgar's going to head to the Font of Blood to destroy this. And then it's just a dungeon. That's fun. It's just a dungeon. Yeah. And what's kind of cool is it's a dungeon with half the stuff triggered. Because Mulgar's ahead of you.
Yeah.
Which is kind of fun. Like, I don't think you fight him at the end of this dungeon, as fun as that would be. That's also a little too prescriptive. I think the party just knows that's the plan. They will quickly discover that the plan is Mulgar's going to go there. If the party's very clever and very quick, they might get there before him. If they're not, they might go after. As a GM, this isn't popular among all GMs. I'm a big fan of just have the bad guy do the bad guy's thing. If the party doesn't react to them, then problems will begin to emerge that the party will have to solve. But it's like, no, Mulgar arrives that night. It's something that I picked up from Monster of the Week, which has you make a calendar of what will happen when, and then just move through it and have the party interrupt them.
Down clock.
Yeah, it's the day after everything happens. Mulgar will arrive. We have him on the back of a warg, which is great. Like, Mulgar arrives at night. The next morning, him and a warband head out. That night, they arrive. The next morning, they begin delving into the dungeon. That night, they will get to the center of the dungeon and destroy the source of power. The next morning, they will return. The next night, they will assault Bloodmane Grove. It's just a 3-day thing. Like, that is how long it will take them to do what they are going to do. And it's helpful that it's attached to a settlement with druids and scouts. The party will never not know this information, but I'm not here to figure out what the party will do. I'm just here to figure out what Mulgar's going to do. The party will get an update that's like, Mulgar and his men have been packing bags and preparing food. They have rations packed. They're going somewhere. Like, some shit like that.
Perfect. And then they don't do it. Suddenly the creek running by Bloodmane Grove is running red. You have to follow the flow of water to whatever's causing it. It just gets worse.
Easy. Yeah, and if you don't interact with it at all, if the party decides to do some other dumb shit, then they'll just have a really hard fight at the end of this. It'll just be a pretty high CR fight that they might lose. Stuff happens. And if you didn't want it to be, some parties like to be guided, and you could be pretty obvious with this. You could just have an old druid with a staff be like, you must defend the font of blood! And the party will be like, all right.
This was not the end, only the beginning, heroes.
Yeah, some real...
easy.
Now that you've killed the rats in the basement, take the scroll of Xanathar! Like, just a huge escalation. Okay, so that's Bloodmane Grove's central quest. We've done it again. That took us a whopping...
Instant.
11 minutes, 20 minutes or so. We continue.
That was with us fucking around a little bit. We didn't need to keep going. We did that in, I think, like 7 minutes.
So that is what is going on there. I mean, we could either try to bring... Do we want to spend some time figuring out some other plot hooks in the area? Or do we want to just move on to Selzathine's crib?
We should probably figure out a couple more plot hooks here, because we only have, like, one unrelated one.
And even that one is sort of slightly related. So, yeah, I think
Other
that
plot hooks.
we can move in a couple of different directions here. One is other fonts of power are in danger. Right? And that's what I was thinking with the whole, like, I'm supposed to, I have the ashes of somebody in the community who died. I can't go where I'm supposed to go. What do I do? And then the party would basically be like, we'll take them. Or you hope the party's like, fear not, grandfather, we will bring them. And they go on a little quest and they find a thing.
That's one. I think that there's probably another temple, the big temple area, and the clerics of the town aren't druids, whatever. The people that have healing magic, their magic isn't working properly because whatever temple to Isthildor is currently being tampered with. So they can't heal the sick anymore. Please, heroes, save the temple so we can bring back our ill.
Yeah, so I'll just say some cleric's magic is on the fritz. I don't have a problem with there being multiple sources of magic in the same locale. I don't think it's oops all druids. And so I think there's probably just a group of clerics that are like, our town was burned, but our temple remains secret in the woods, and you have to go, like, stop whatever weird shit it is that they are doing. So some clerics on the fritz, pilgrimage burial. Michael, what's up?
I think following there's just an extremely accurate fortune teller in town.
Not a plot hook, just a fun thing to do.
Yeah, we could add a plot hook to it, but I think that'd be a fun little addition.
Like a fucking Taroka reader in Curse of Strahd.
Pretty much.
Yes.
Yeah, the quest could be you can ask me anything and I'll divine it for you if you do blank.
Yes.
Oh, okay, so this, so maybe they will effectively cast the commune spell?
Commune... You got Wheel and Woe, but at that point it's pretty useless.
So cast commune for favor.
I'll cast commune with a deity named the Dungeon Master. You can ask anything and he must answer true.
I like this. So cast commune for favor, and I think we can use this as a tool to interconnect our villains. And I think that cast commune for favor, stolen magic cards.
Yep.
And it's fucking Romagon's boys.
Yeah.
And it gives the GM a really good opportunity to show a group of Romagon soldiers like interacting with some of the cultists that serve under Mulgar, and just being like hail and well met, and talking for a little bit, and then going their separate ways,
Yeah.
like showing that they are allied with one another.
Sick. Ah, fuck. We did another one in 3 minutes.
Yes, that's
We're
three
done.
good plot hooks, each of which is 2 or 3 sessions of like pretty diligent work. So that's, 8 sessions from that, another 4 or 5 per chapter. So we're up at like 18, 20 sessions here, which on standard combat days, is about a level, maybe a level and a half. So if the party is supposed to go from level 3 to level 5 in the first area, level 6 to level, 3, 4, 5, and then 5, 6, 7, and then 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, then yeah, we're pretty much on much on tack there. Because so for the record, for those of you
good
listening, we do levels up. Spencer and I both have a D&D issue, I would say, with Wizards of the Coast, which is why we do only milestone leveling, which is no one gets to high levels ever, and it kind of sucks. So I try when I am when I am sort of the lead on some of our writing projects to roughly map so that experienced parties don't find it to be completely non-functional, but sometimes you just have to break away, because to be perfectly honest, experience leveling in D&D is just rather poorly balanced.
nonsense.
So it's more fun to say, when you free the Guardian, the Great Guardian of the Grove, you level up, and then a new bad guy shows up, and when you kill the big bad guy and liberate the area, you level up, and then you go to a new area, and there's a cool thing going on, and once you're done with the cool thing, you level up. Like, that's a more fun flow, and so it's the one that we stick with. If you really want to figure out and like fudge in the XP, then you don't actually need our help, because that means, and I'm seeing into your soul, that means that you are rolling random encounter checks, keeping track of arrows and rations. So you don't need our help to squeeze 10 more combats out of that. Just stick 3 more combats in the bad areas that they go to, put 4 more on the road, 2 there, 2 back, and you're gonna get to the numbers you want.
This is a D&D philosophy thing, and I do believe that XP leveling is a holdover from when D&D was a war game.
Yeah.
And now most people play it as a role-playing game, where milestone just makes way more sense.
Like some kind of tabletop role-playing game. Some
Like,
sort of...
as if it's not a tabletop war game anymore. Milestone leveling just makes way more sense. If you didn't do it that way, it would take like 5 years to approach upper level gaming experiences, and that's nonsense.
There's also sort of a long-running thing that I've discovered. For those of you in the future, we're going to get a little off topic, and then we'll return here. There's also something very interesting, which is the popular wisdom is to do 4 to 5 encounters a day. The Dungeon Master's Guide says 6 to 7, which is hours of combat per event per day and everything. And if you take that and then you build based on the encounter recommendations, then it actually takes less time to level up the later you get in the levels, which is baffling. So the jump from level 19 to 20 takes much less time than the jump from 6 to 7, because the experience goes up exponentially, but the number of encounters remains the same. It's really quite bizarre. Okay.
Side note, we just made so much time here that this is DM advice corner. I think is okay. Having 6 or 7 encounters a day is wild, because I can't think of a single party I've ever played with that would be like, all right, gang, see you next session, and then you do another random goblin combat and some like hippogriff combat, and you jump another, see you guys next session, and you're still in the same woods, and then you fight a manticore, and then see you guys next session. That would be a month of in-game play to walk through the fucking woods in one day. It's awful.
Yeah.
Nobody wants to do that. Anyway, that's all of our beef.
Just a little
I've
bit.
had barbarian though. Let's do that.
Yeah. Listen, we've done our fair share of dungeons that are encounter heavy, and unless you have when you have like a really well balanced, you can knock an encounter out in like a tight 45. There are limits to all things. Okay, so that is. It sounds to me like that's pretty much Bloodmane Grove. Is there anything else we want to make true? Is there anything else that we feel isn't flushed out for Bloodmane Grove? Why is there a lion? Do we care? Do we need to answer that question? We know that our Lancer was a knight protecting the area, but we never really figured out what from or what the war was. Do we just know that the Bloodmane lion is here because of a great font of power and that we just aren't super worried about why specifically they're here?
I don't think so. I think that's hand wavy. There's a font of power here. The druids from a bygone age locked this in as a protector.
Okay.
I have one thing to make true. The later on you do this area, the more like red tinge the sky is.
Ooh, that's fun.
Yeah, it is something important that we wanted to make sure stay true is all of these areas, the stuff they're doing is working. None of these people are misguided. So I like that. I like the idea that the deeper into Mulgar's territory you get, you kind of get the sense that magic is getting a little odd the deeper into Mulgar's area you go. I think that's fair. And outlining that we have clerics losing their magic in the area, we have barbarians losing their ability to hold their senses in the area. It sort of suggests that like the magic that holds the world together is starting to fritz as these sites of power are being destroyed. Also, it means we get to name that chapter Red Sky at Morning.
Yeah.
Which is just always so good. For those of you at home, Red Sky at Morning, Sailor Take Warning. Red Sky at Night, Sailors Delight is a very popular turn of phrase that has something to do with barometer pressure. Okay. It seems like we got to talk about Selzathine the Magpie.
Yeah, and we don't have anything prepped for side quests, so we can open with side quests in that area. Do you want to do a recap on what Selzathine shit is?
Yeah, I mean, I have 2 plot hooks for Selzathine that I can spit, and then we can just sort of jump from there. So, Selzathine the Magpie, named by our local GM here, Spencer Mayo, one of our local GMs here, Spencer Mayo, is a blue dragon who was promised a weapon. They were promised Orvang, the Beacon of Storms, a sword that a Tempest cleric that was a former ally of Althander Rylus used, that basically just lets you max out the damage on a lightning-based ability once a day. This is a Tempest cleric ability they already have. We just thought it would be fun to make a big hammer or sword or whatever that could also do it, and it's a perfect item for a blue dragon to hunger for. We also know that they are in possession of 2 other magic items because we liked all of our items enough not to get rid of. Was the Crown of Self and the Amulet of Mourning are our other 2 items. The Crown of Self allowing you to disguise self in a way that holds up to interrogation. And the Amulet of Mourning, I think, let you talk to dead people? I can't remember exactly what the Amulet of Mourning did.
Who knows? That sounds like something I made up, and I don't remember.
We know that Selzathine the Magpie is a blue dragon. We know that they have a small cult working beneath them that helps them to collect magical items. And we know that Selzathine uses the stat block that we have sort of loosely gestured to. Has a number of different abilities, and Selzathine has a large bag of holding that is basically their hoard that they carry with them. They are so covetous that they can't even stand to leave their items somewhere. They carry them with them. And so in combat, they have to use a bonus action to take out new items to use new abilities. when Selzathene is killed, their last villainous action is, if I can't have it, no one can. They tear the bag of holding and send all the items inside into the astral sea, except whatever item they had out last. So we will come up with 3 items, and the party will get to pick one, just determined by which one Selzathene has out at the time. Pretty good basis there. Our loose plot is that in the first half, there is a heist going on, and Selzathene is trying to get a hold of an anti-magic item or a 9th level spell scroll. We discussed it literally being Wish, because it adds a fun flavor that the party has to deal with of like, we now have a responsibility to use this scroll for something good. Is it good enough to be like, I wish Althander Rylus would have a heart attack? Like, or should we be doing something more meaningful with it? Our alternative was, if the party is too into shenanigans, do power word kill.
Yeah.
And then in the second half, Selzathene is personally affronted. You are now fighting their cultists in the streets anywhere you go, and so you have to breach this ancient vault that they call their home and kill Selzathene the Magpie. My plot hooks for this area, number 1 is the local thieves guild is in pursuit of an item they cannot get a hold of. They need your help. And number 2 is there is a monster in the sewers. We need to deal with it, because I just thought that would be fun. I was like, it'd be fun to do like an alligator in the sewers kind of mission.
You know what belongs in the sewers? Rats. And if you needed to be a little bit higher up than that,
damn,
could be a were rat, is all I'm gonna say.
For those of you just tuning in, 100 years ago, I had I would say, a pretty inspired were-rat idea that was unceremoniously shot in the backyard, and I have since insisted that every adventure should probably have a were-rat in there somewhere.
At least one.
Okay, so those are my 2 plot hooks. Did either of you in your panic come up with one, or are we running blank right now?
I've got one.
I got one.
All right, go ahead.
All right. I'll let mine rip. Michael, get yours set.
Mm-hmm.
The title of this one is Kobold Descent. Some of the cultists are kobolds who spawn because there's a dragon around. And a small subset of them are tired of being bound by this crazy-ass genocidal dragon. They stole... This is up to us to decide. They stole the Mask of Self and are using it to try to escape the area. The one kobold with the Mask of Descent asked the party in human form, please help my people, we're trying to get away from here. They show up and it's like 20 kobolds like, help, get us the fuck out of here. They get bamboozled into helping a bunch of kobolds escape. That's the mission.
And I also love that because additional pitch, when they are spoken to by this benefactor, the kobold removes the Mask of Self, and it is 3 kobolds standing on each other's shoulders in a trench coat.
And they offer the mask for getting them out. They won't need it anymore after this. We'll give it to you.
Which will be a really good tool to get around this area, because something we haven't really settled yet, it sounds like Althander is probably somewhere other than the capital.
I think we settled on that,
If we were going to do this adventure in order, if we wanted to establish like the recommended order from us, it would be you start at the beginning, and then Romagon, Bloodmane, end here, and when this dragon dies, Althander would probably show up to kill the party. That's my GM instinct would be for the flow of this adventure, right? Because it's like, meet a dude, meet a fighty dude, meet a fighty kind of magic dude, meet a magic dude, and then Althander reveals themselves, is like, thank you for dealing with this scourge affecting our city, and then invites the party to a gala where there's poison in the wine, and Althander basically tries to like surreptitiously kill them. And thus the party discovers that he is a villain. Pro tip from a GM: if you want somebody to be revealed to be a villain, make sure that they're trying to kill the party with like clever plotting and not with a knife. because otherwise it's going to be a pretty short-lived reveal. Either the party is going to TPK because they don't run away, or they're going to kill your villain in one round of combat, and you're going to be like, I just thought the CR math was a little bit more legit.
I would keep Althander in High Shield. They get invited after killing this fucking worm. Please come attend a feast in your honor, heroes. They show up, and that's when they deal with the threat of Althander.
Michael, what was your plot hook?
So, not only are magic items disappearing and being stolen, memories too. We have what's the monster called? The faux something?
False Hydra?
False. The false Hydra.
Not a canonical 5th edition monster.
Yeah, it's a homebrew monster.
The jumping point that is right next to what you're talking is an Olithek. An Olithek is a ooze created by mind flayers that eats memories. It's right there.
Mm-hmm.
If an
That works too.
If an Olithek kills and eats you, it can create a duplicate of a person.
Mm-hmm.
The Olithek would be the sewer monster. Right? Am I crazy for thinking
You're gonna
that?
shoot down my were-rat again?
We can have were-rats in the sewers still.
You're on thin ice, Mayo. You're on
Look,
thin
I love
ice.
the were-rat on this one. I'm just saying it makes perfect sense for an ooze that makes fake people to be in the sewer.
Yes, because
Could there be like a bunch of just soulless Ulithek made people just
so
going around doing tasks?
An adult Olithek is a pretty wait, they're not Olithek, they're Oblex.
Oh yeah, Oblex.
Oblex.
I know that.
I
I
don't
didn't
know
know that they made fake people.
An adult Oblex can create 5 people that it can interpose as long as they are within a certain distance. So the Olithek could be in the sewers beneath a home and basically just be like sending tendrils up through sewer grates to create illusory duplicates.
Olithek is from MCDM.
Damn it. Yeah, that's their Olithek is their
That's their slime.
It's their slime. Yeah. Well, you know.
You're right there. It's just a better monster. An Oobleck. Or an Ooblex.
I don't know what CR and those guys are.
If I could just
Pretty high. Pretty high.
Precious. My precious.
Anytime you're dealing with mind flayer shit, it tends to be pretty high CR.
Fair.
Yeah,
I
right now
guess
I
it's probably
actually need to
CR8.
settle my curiosity. Olitheks are aboleths for MCDM, which are also incredibly cool, but they are CR10 and way above what the party would be able to deal with at this point. We're looking for an Ooblex, I think.
Oblex. I got him pulled up on the interwebs.
Fun fact.
Challenge rating.
Fan-made monster. Put in as a in memoriam, I think, for somebody who passed away.
There's 3 options: spawn, adult, and elder.
Yeah.
1/4, 5, and 10.
Yeah. Elders are gnarly, though. That stat block can
Damn.
get a little schwasty. Yeah, they can create duplicates and they eat memories. That's what they do.
Boom.
So, if our memory thief is also our sewer monster, and we have this Thieves Guild mission, sounds to me like it's the same as this first mission, this heist. I think those are one and the same. I think the local Thieves Guild has heard that Selzathene is going to go after something that they've had their eye on for a long time, and they make contact with the party. And I also like that because that is something that a lot of people will hear, and I'm sure that eventually, someday, when people are rewatching these, we will get a bunch of comments that will be like, that's railroading. It's not railroading to send a letter to the party that says, with a mysterious symbol on the front that's like, we know something is going down in the city, and to then have the Thieves Guild approach and be like, this is what's happening, we'd like your help. That is not railroading.
Party can say no.
Yeah, that's just offering an option. If the party says no, Selzathene's going to get a hold of whatever fucking item it is, and that's going to be bad. What were you about to say, Spencer?
It's only railroading if they then burn the letter and say, we're not doing that. And they step outside and they're knocked unconscious and they wake up in the middle of a heist that they're locked inside the room of. Like that's railroading.
Yeah. So so the Kobold Descent connects very easily to Selzathine and the Thieves Guild. I think that just works. How does the sewer monster... So if we make the thing in the sewers in Obelix, which is great, we then have this Mind Flayer ooze, and assuming that this adventure is... I can't remember. We aren't in the Forgotten Realms, right?
We are not.
Okay,
I
so
thought
we,
we were.
Yeah.
So we don't have an Obelix. We have a memory ooze, or we have maybe we're gonna need a name for that. We're gonna need a let's call it a mind killer ooze. A little Dune reference there for you.
It's a brain ooze. It's a bruise.
Fear is the mind killer. It's the little death. We love it. Okay, so this mind killer bruise is making its way through the sewers. What is it doing there?
Living its
Does
best
this
life.
connect to Selzathine in some way?
Yeah,
Maybe-
stealing memories is pretty big because the whole quest line here is discovering locations, items, and magical people. Slime that can absorb memories and relay them back to whoever is a huge asset. Where it's like, oh, this person talked to a mage, or they bought a magic item from this merchant. That's big. If we have a way for the ooze to have a connection to one of the bad guys.
Sure, so Selzathine, what I'm hearing, has one of those, like, scrying pools that Dumbledore has in Harry
Yeah.
Potter, where you can, like, look
He
into
fucking
memories.
eats the memory. Yeah.
Okay, so it sounds to me like it sounds to me like in the world of Prospect, which is the only world that we have legal ownership over, and therefore the only world we can set any of this in, probably it sounds like pre-Calamity. It can't be Calamity. Mercer!
Pre-catastrophe.
Yeah, pre-catastrophe.
Pre-cataclysm.
Cataclysm, that's what it was. So it sounds like this is probably a pre-cataclysm John here. We have this mind killer ooze, and I think that maybe mind killer oozes in Prospect just aren't a mind flayer thing, because we couldn't even have mind flayers if we wanted to. We would have to name them
could not.
some other bullshit. Where do mind killer oozes? Because we already made ghouls much cooler by inventing the blood tinged. Where does a mind killer ooze come from? Because we know that in our world you can make an ally of them, right? You can at least mind control them. At most, make a deal with them. They are intelligent enough to compromise.
I think combining it with magic, like magical regions, is fun. Either for summoning or illusory magic, something like that. The shit you use to create the magic, all the regions, melt away. And if you cast enough magic in one location, a mind killer ooze is created. It's like super tiny. It's the CR 1/4, easily stompable. But if they get away from the wizard or nobody keeps it under wraps, then you get a more powerful one that starts eating memories and shit.
So they were
to
sort of
try and like form their own personality.
So they were discovered as a phenomena and have now become something that groups actively use. Weirdly makes me think of the Khandra from Mistborn in a pretty real way.
Yeah.
A very similar build, for sure.
Very true.
Okay. So
Don't look at my Brandon Sanderson book behind my head.
Don't look at it. In the sewers, there is a mind killer ooze that is being employed by Selzathine. So I love the idea that eventually they become intelligent enough to be like, and that conveys information. That's awesome. That is harvesting memories. The Thieves Guild has a lead that Selzathine is going after a magic item they also want, and some local kobolds are tired of living under Selzathine. They have liberated themselves and seek freedom. I don't know how everybody here runs kobolds. My favorite thing is that kobolds just appear near dragons. Like there is no like hatch. They don't hatch out of like what do you call it? Dragon eggs. Kobolds just like show up. Like they just begin to appear in the area around dragons. I like
Which is similar enough to how we made Knolls that makes sense in Prospect to be like and it's similar to the Mind Killer Ooze. A side effect of something that creates more.
Yeah, because magic is so, like, intrinsic to the way the world is built, it makes sense that it's like, no, dragons are just magically powerful enough that life kind of just bubbles up around them, and that life takes the form of kobolds. Like, I bet if we wanted to get really squirrely about it, my explanation would be any lizard within a certain distance, if it is too close for too long, will become a kobold over the course of like a month. Will evolve into a kobold essentially, like a fucking Pokemon. I also like this because we always try with any product that we work on to make sure that things connect in a satisfying, like, web sort of way. And it's very easy for me to say a member of the Thieves Guild has been spotted who is dead. A member of the Thieves Guild has been seen around the city, and they are dead. They are not maybe dead. They are dead. They have been buried. We know where the body is. We dug them up. We checked. They're dead. And that sort of would introduce the Mind Killer Ooze, and in reverse would introduce you to the Thieves Guild. The kobolds, some of them have been in the sewers and have seen a strange creature without being able to explain what it is. This is pretty easy to sort of connect around to these different locales.
This is maybe my favorite area.
This is really
the
good.
most diverse. It's pretty pleasing.
Yeah, this is a nice, fun one. And we have a pretty good idea of what the other stuff looks for. My only real question here is, so let's settle a couple of things in our last, 19 or so minutes. We'll probably have time to do a bit at the end. Selzathine is trying to get the heist in the beginning. Selzathine is trying to get a hold of an item. We either want it to have something to do with being anti-magic, which is an incredibly powerful thing in D&D, or a 9th level spell scroll. Which of those two do we think is more interesting? A 9th level spell scroll?
9th level spell scroll.
Okay. Always take strong directions.
And we give them the option. Wish or power word kill. That is up to the DM. You guys know your party.
Okay. Wish or power word kill. Do we want to put any sort of restriction on the wish? Is there anything with that we think is worth doing?
The DMG does it well enough. Wish can do these list of things, or it's up to the DM. The DM can set their own restrictions. They can be like, you can't just kill the main bad guy.
And there's a 33% chance that you can never cast Wish again, no matter how long you live. I maintain it in my campaigns. It is slightly different. I'm a big fan of. There's a 33% chance that you die. That you cast Wish and it is too much for the magical weave of your body, and you are dusted. You are, what do you call it? What's the spell? You are disintegrated as you cast it. The Wish goes off, but you are incredibly dead. You are about as dead can be. Tends to be my preference, just because I like the idea that Wish is, to my mind, Wish is not a 9th level spell. Wish is a 10th level spell, but 10th level magic doesn't exist anymore, and so it is a 10th level power crammed into a 9th level space. Tends to be the way that I like to think of it. Alright, so that's all pretty strong. We know that it's Wish. Why does this item, why would this ever exist and not have been used? That's a question I have every time a magic item like this is in the world, and I as a GM have sometimes put like really powerful magic items in, and I am always left with a question of, and these two can attest as a GM, I've stopped doing it. I really don't have powerful magic items anymore that they don't have to kill someone to get, because it just doesn't make any sense to me. If there was a +3 Vorpal Greatsword, why is it sitting in a cave? So that doesn't make any sense, right? Somebody would have been like, I am following this track down. Why is there a wish spell? They didn't wish for infinite gold or whatever?
I think that we have two options, and I'm leaning one way. First option, this was a scroll that was incredibly recently created, and that wizard or whatever that made the scroll was apprehended shortly after, so that he didn't have the chance.
That adds
and now it's
another
hidden
level
in
of
his
fun.
wizard's tower.
It implies that casting, creating, and researching the spell Wish is illegal. Because
At
you
least in
just
this area.
said that person's like off. That you were like they've been arrested or like they're gone now. I like the idea that in the area it's like, hey, you aren't allowed to wish. Like it's too dangerous, too volatile. What was your other idea?
The other idea is that this is like an abandoned city that's been, or an abandoned portion of the city that's long been under misuse, and nobody knew that it existed, but the Thieves Guild recently discovered it, and now there's some shit inside that you gotta deal with.
It sounds like you don't like that one.
I don't. I like the other one a lot more. I just wanted to give that as an option just in case we didn't like the other one.
What I like about idea 1 specifically is I get this image that this item is completed by an incredibly powerful wizard in secret, right? The wish spell is illegal. You aren't allowed to cast it here. And they aren't going to. It's going somewhere. So I really love the idea that because it's a heist, I like that the leader of the Thieves Guild will be like, at 12:02, the scroll will be taken downstairs and will be placed in a secure lead scroll case. That scroll case will be loaded onto an armored cart with 2 shield guardians on it at 1 o'clock. From there, it will travel to the port, and it will depart the port at 1:30. That gives us a 30-minute window where it is not in a heavily reinforced building or out on the open ocean. That's our window. We have a half an hour of travel time where it goes from the outskirts of the city all the way down to the docks. That for me is always really fun. And it also gives the party the option to be like, no, we are going to break into the building and get it the night before. Or no, we're going to intercept the ship.
Yeah.
But that's
Plenty
the
of
layout,
options.
right? Is like, it is created, it is immediately sealed, and is then moved to a vessel, and that vessel will take it where it is going.
I also think that we can have this super powerful wizard. He might not be dead. He could be one of Althander Rylas's under duress cronies who's doing this magical casting using the bodies and souls of other casters to open up the portal, right? That could be one of the later plot hooks, is save blank the Great from the clutches of Althander Rylas in High Shield.
So I'll say new scroll. I don't think I can put a 17th level caster in this city though.
That's the danger. That's the danger.
That's the issue. That they're minimum 17th level. And a 9th level spell scroll takes, let's see how long it takes. I think it takes over a year to make.
Yeah. It could be you free the wizard will not help you, and is like, I need to meet with my order. Fucking disappear.
Yeah.
That's easy enough. You're saving a wizard for the sake of saving a man from indentured servitude. You're not saving a wizard to have a 19th level ally.
Okay. Downtime. Why is Xanathar's the best thing they've ever made? Why is
It's so
Xanathar's the best thing they've ever made? Xanathar's and Tasha's are both so head and shoulders quality level above the rest of 5th edition. Go ahead, sorry.
Hear me out. He's survived this long because he's the most powerful wizard. But every time they do this spell to open up the rift, it's pulling more and more magical ability out of his form. We already established a year and a half ago that in Prospect, magic is almost a radiation. People are born with it, and it's incredibly dangerous. This guy doing this magic, it's pulling that power from him. By the time the party rescues him, he's like a level 5 wizard. He's been depleted by doing this spell casting for so long. So then you do get a wizard ally who knows a lot, but is not going to cast
Fucking
Meteor Swarm.
Gale from Baldur's Gate looking at it.
Yep. Just hamstring him a little bit.
Okay, 1 second. Let me look at... I don't want to buy a magic item. I want to make one.
Side note, if we do a bit today, it's going to be monster location plot hook.
So, to create a spell scroll of wish, the following items would be required: a magical ingredient that comes from at least a CR19 monster, 100,000 gold in materials, and it would take 50 weeks.
Yeah. So almost a full year.
So it takes just shy of a year, costs 100,000 gold in materials, and requires an item from a CR19 minimum creature, which includes, let me check, which includes such bangers as a Sararak, the Great Lich of the Tomb of Annihilation, Ancient Dragons, Astral Dreadnoughts, Baphomet, Demon Prince of the Abyss.
Of course.
Mm-hmm. A good buddy.
Anything else in here? Yeah, a lot of Demon Princes are in the like 19 to 25 range. A Solar is only CR 21, and a Solar has a longbow that anytime it hits a creature with less than 100 hit points, they have to make a DC 15 con save or they die. So this thing has taken an immense volume of resources and time to create. This is like a truly bananas thing here. And so they haven't used it just because it is being delivered somewhere. Is it being delivered to Althander Rylus, in which case it is not going to the port? It is going to be moved across town. Or is it being delivered somewhere completely else, and Rylus is hoping to intercept it, and through Selzathine, and thus it is going to a ship. Or airship.
Somewhere completely different.
Okay, so it's headed to either a normal dock or a sky dock. And the party just has to intercept. They just know that that's where it is going to be. It is current. They can just say, the Thieves Guild can be like, it's in this building right now. We don't know what room. It will be transported in a heavily defended, column to the dock. There it will be loaded on to a heavily defended ship, and it will be taken over to where it is going to end up. I like that because it gives the party different options of how to get to it, and poses different problems depending on which they go with. The only thing that we should say is, as a GM, you just decide how Selzathine will try. Just pick. Just pick. Like, it's, you can do one, you can have him show up at a dramatically relevant time for you. You can have, Selzathine's probably not going to show up. We've already made pretty clear. If the adult blue dragon, it doesn't matter if you're an adult blue dragon, 120 guards can kill you. That's a math problem in D&D 5th edition, right? They're like, the dragon took the city. He can't have. So we know that Selzathine is too smart to be like, I'll pick up the wagon with my big talons. There's probably some subterfuge there. With that, 7 minutes on the clock. I hate to say it. I think, oops, we have in fact done it again. In 1 hour,
with even less time,
flushed out 2 arcs pretty well. And if you're off in the future and you're like, you didn't flush out the arc, the only notes you have for that adventure are sewer monster, memory thief, mind killer ooze. I hate to break it to you, that's all it is.
That's prep.
We know the mind killer ooze is stat block, and we can build an encounter around that in under a minute. We just grab a couple of other monsters to stick with it, because anytime the party fights one thing, the party will kill it. Secondarily, there are just random encounter sheets by location, and you can just go like urban location down to that section, grab a couple of those that you like, or spend 20 minutes doing the CR math on do the encounter math, crunch the numbers, and build 5 encounters. And the party will only encounter 3 of them. You know what I mean? That is well within your tool set as a GM. All right? You
All
want to try
right.
to do a bit in
I'm-
6 minutes?
Time for they say, you say, I say. Everybody get your dice.
Oh yeah, I got it. I'm ready.
Okay. I roll gets to pick first what they want to do.
All right, I'm rolling. 16.
6.
14.
Wow. All right, Ethan, you pick. Michael, you pick, and then I have to do
I'm going to pick
an adventure hook.
a monster.
All right, location it is.
How do I wish there was a good way to grab like a random monster, you know what I mean?
It's just a full random roll.
You know what I would used to do when I was really just starting with drawing, and I loved my fusion stuff. I would random a D&D monster, and random like a Pokemon, and
Yeah, I
fuse
remember
them.
that.
Yeah, full
That was
random that stuff. That I should do that again sometime. It's been a while.
It's a good way to do it.
Hmm.
So I'm currently looking just to grab something exciting. So that's what I'm scrolling through here.
You're good. We developed like 20 sessions worth of D&D in an hour, so we can take our time on our bit.
Let me check this.
I want to play in the Dragon City.
It's good. It's
I
fun.
want that to be I want to be in that game right now. Side note, I would like to do a Prospect Blades in the Dark mini arc. I think that would be a lot of fun.
For sure. That's easy peasy. I'll do that. Love Blades in the Dark.
I would like to play Blades in the Dark with more than 2 players
Yeah.
and for more than one session. That's all we've ever been able to do. Like an actual mini arc, 6 sessions or whatever, where a few people show up every time would be sick.
Yeah, it's interesting. So for those of you at home, getting games together can often be difficult. Getting games together with people who are willing to do it streamed is all the harder. We've been debating switching. I've been pushing it, I'll be honest. Switching to the audio format for some fun experimental shows just because it takes a lot of the pressure off. But it means you need, to be frank, quite a few people to make things sort of audibly interesting on that scale. You need a good, 4 or 5 players to really keep things moving on that scale, which is fine. But it's always interesting to sort of try to play with things on that scale. All right, I got a monster.
All right, let it rip.
My monster, I'm going to do a category of monsters, so you have some options. I'm doing Modrons. The small robots from the plane of perfect order. Because I just love Modrons.
All right. Michael, location.
So what did you say? They're robots?
Yes, the plane
They're
of
robots
order is ruled by Mechanus, the being of perfect law. And so all of the creatures from there are Modrons. They are little robots that perfectly serve each other. A tri-drone has 2 duo drones, and each duo drone has 2 mono drones. And that goes up and up and up and up and up to the point where there's decadrones who have 2 nanodrones, who have 2 octadrones, who have 2 septadrones. It's crazy.
Gotcha. All right. I do that where I was planning on doesn't quite work.
That's Spencer's
No.
problem.
No, that's fine.
No, you put it wherever it is.
You say those words back. Theros is underworld.
The underworld of Theros. Okay. There's a thing in Magic the Gathering, Phyrexia. They have essentially a plague where they go through different realms and they take over. They rebore every realm they enter, every universe, and they all become one. It's like what are they in Star Trek? The
Borg.
Borg. Yeah,
Mhm.
they board people. So that is currently happening the universe over. The Modrons have gotten word that Phyrexia has infiltrated Theros, and they've tracked it down to the underworld where it's beginning. This plague is spreading where they're getting borged. The party has to arrive and stop the Modrons from taking over themselves. Because they're not going to stop at stopping Phyrexia. They're going to take over Theros to make it a land of order.
Interesting.
That's the game.
No, that's
the
good. I
book.
like it. I like the
That's
idea
good.
that the Modrons, it's like, no, the Modrons are totally equipped to handle this plague. They're going to be fine. That's the problem. They're going to be fine fast.
Yeah.
Like, they're going to take care of this
They're
thing.
their own plague.
And then they will just still have access to this area, and this place is chaotic. It breaks the laws of physics of D&D in a lot of ways, and so they will need to sort of pull things into order, rip the planes apart to create like the proper system of inner and outer planes. That's pretty good.
That's it, baby. And with
Nice.
8:01 on the clock, that's going to be it for us.
It's pretty good.
Thank you, everybody, for tuning in to the DM Writers Room, where we made like 30 sessions of D&D in a solid hour, and we did a bit. That's sort of the primo experience you can expect from us. Don't expect that from us. Doesn't always happen.
Sort of a, sort of
you
a
can
luxury
catch-
podcast.
Yeah, exactly. You can catch this stream same time, same day of the week. It is every Thursday from 6:30 to 8:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We also have a campaign, an actual play D&D campaign in Theros called The Party Makes Things Worse. We do that every Wednesday, 7 to 10 p.m. You can follow us on TikTok, on Instagram, on Facebook. You can follow our website, ttrpguy.com, ttrpguy on all of those sites. Follow, subscribe, like our stuff, comment on all of our stuff. That's it. Thank you for catching it, and we'll see you on the next one.
See you next time. Peace.